Well, if I was a good YouTuber and a proper YouTuber, I'd make sure to act heaps excited when I tell you that I have a PO box and you can send me stuff now. Yay! But I've been having one of those low energy kind of depressed days, so please bear with me if I don't exactly sell you the concept very well. I did manage to perk myself up earlier in the day, but it took me so long that I actually missed my filming window, and the only little clip that I did manage to film is just gonna go on Patreon as a blooper. But yeah, so this video, let's talk about the rules for sending me stuff, because, you know, the internet is the internet, and I've got to set out that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, though, the reason I got a PO box is actually so I can send other people's stuff and have a return address. For example, my old band Rainbow Death Ray, we do still have some merch, and this is sold out, but you can buy these, and these are physical things that I actually physically handle myself. It's not like the t-shirts where another company does it. This is stuff that I've actually got around the house, and I have to put in an envelope and send it to you, and I need a return address, and now that I don't have the studio anymore, I've got this PO box. So yeah, that's why I originally got the PO box. It's not because I have a huge ego and actually expect to get a lot of fan mail. But seeing as I have the PO box, I might as well open it up. That said though, I got some PO box rules, and I'm going to put this on Patreon. Which side? That side? I'm going to put that on Patreon as a publicly available thing, so you can read it if it's too small on the screen, or if you want to click the little links, because I did put little links in there. But yeah, so the 4 rules. 1, make sure you use a service that can deliver to a PO box, because otherwise it's not going to get to me. 2, give me a heads up to expect something from you. 3, I'm not going to be doing blind unboxings, so it's not really a rule, but it's just like a heads up. I'm not doing blind unboxings. And 4, I'm not going to be opening deliveries at my house. That's it. You can see the little addresses down here, and I'll also put it in the description and maybe in a comment or something. But if you still want me to elaborate and read this out to you and, you know, probably go on a tangent, God knows. Yeah, I tried putting these on, by the way, if you're wondering. Let's go on our first tangent. Yeah, I was like, I'm introducing a thing and I have low energy. Maybe I should try and perk myself up and, you know, dress up a little, and that's all I could manage, and it's not working. But anyway, so yeah, let's go through the rules one by one and see if I can get myself distracted. So yeah, make sure you use a service that can deliver to a PO box. Now, I don't know what PO boxes are like around other countries, but in Australia, I have to pay extra if I want to get deliveries from like courier services, or, you know, basically any service that isn't Australia Post. Star Trek is part of Australia Post, but basically anything else, I can't accept those deliveries unless I pay extra. And, you know, I kind of don't expect it to get much mail, so I'm not paying extra. So yes, you have to make sure you use a service that will deliver it to a PO box. And I think if you're overseas, generally if you use whatever's your standard kind of national carrier, and that eventually gets passed on to Australia Post and comes through my national carrier, that should be fine. If you're sending letters, just send them the normal way. That should be fine. I think it's only really packages that are likely to get any kind of trouble. So yeah, make sure if you're sending something that it can go to a PO box, and whatever method you have to check, go and check, because I don't know everything, even though sometimes I may speak as if I do. 2, give me a heads up to expect something from you. Otherwise, and what I've written on Patreon, otherwise I'm going to assume it's one of those brushing scams or some other shady business. If you don't know what a brushing scam is, a while back, like in Australia, I don't know if other places had this, but people were getting deliveries of like these random seed packets, and they're just like, who is sending me these random seed things? And the initial thing that came out was like, oh, this is a biohazard, don't plant them. Some people did plant them. Yeah, just to see what they were. But like, you know, sorry, not biohazard, biosecurity. Because in Australia, like, to get things into Australia, we have really strict biosecurity rules. Because we're an island, it's easier for us to control stuff. And, you know, we don't want certain diseases and things coming through. And that includes for plants. Like, you know, yes, we had the whole quarantine thing with COVID. But I'm talking about, like, plant diseases and, you know, mad cow, or, I don't know, agricultural stuff. It's a big deal for us, you know, our native landscape as well, all that sort of thing. So yeah, the initial thing that came out was don't plant them because it might be not good for stuff like handed into whatever environmental department. And some people ignored that or just didn't even know and planted them anyway. But no, brushing scam, I think what that turned out to be is like, like those weird little companies on Amazon, and they want to get good reviews, so then their stuff gets like bumped up in the ratings or whatever, and so they'd like send out these things to fake customers, but send it to a real address, and then they'd be able to write their fake reviews or something like that. It just there had to be some kind of evidence that it got sent somewhere. I think it's like that, and things like that still go on. So if you receive a mystery package, it might be because they're using your address for shenanigans. And so yeah, if you don't tell me that something is coming, and I look at it and like, look at the return address, like who is it from, and I'm just be like, if I don't know, and if I'm not expecting it, I might just like, I don't know, send it back, report it, or I haven't decided if I get a mystery delivery. Yeah, I'm just not going to trust it. So if you're going to send something to me, give me a heads up. Maybe tell me like, what you're going to put as your return address name so that I can, have just have some warning, because if something unexpected turns up, I'll be very suspicious. I've watched Internet Historian and I know the internet is dodgy, and that's why number 3, I will not be doing blind unboxings. So if you send me something stupid or inappropriate, it's not going to go into a video. And if you're like, I have had people ask, can they send me certain things over the years, and I'm just like, no. And I know I did Punk Rave Australia, the fashion review kinds of things, and sometimes someone will be like, oh, can I send you like, this sort of sexy corset kind of stuff, and I'm like, no. And especially for something like a corset, I'd want to know what it looks like, because I do have corsets, but they're more like that sort of gothic one. They're not like, I don't know what kinds of ideas people are getting. But yeah, and then, obviously there are, like, that's on the mild end of things I can imagine being sent. Obviously don't send anything illegal as well. I'm gonna screen stuff, and if I need to report stuff, I will, because I know where the local police station is, and I would go on a nice little walk and get myself some air and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be like screening everything. If you send me something, I will open it up and be like, cool, I'll make a video with that. Or else I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna chuck that straight in the bin or report it or whatever. I generally, if you send me something good, like a letter, like even if, like, you might send me a drawing and it might not be like you're the greatest artist in the world, but I would still be like, thank you for the effort. I will show that on camera. So yeah, as long as things are like appropriate and stuff, if you want me to do something in a video, I will. But yeah, be sensible. And if you're not sure if something is, appropriate, just ask me first. There are ways to message me or whatever. There's a form on my website as well. And so yeah, if you're not sure, just ask. Just ask. There's no harm in it. And if it's not appropriate, I'll just say so. And thank you for respecting my views on things. And then yeah, another one, because the internet is crazy, I'm not going to be opening deliveries at my house. Tracking devices, that's a thing now, and especially like, you've got those little Apple tags. I don't know, and Samsung has some tags as well. I don't know if they're actually used in Australia, because sometimes we don't get things that overseas get, but I watched Lockpicking Lawyer, and I linked a video in that, and someone tried to send a GPS device to him to find out where he was at, and it's just like, he's a security expert, and so he didn't fall for it, but like, people are, most people I think are okay, but there's always that one idiot who has to ruin it for everyone. So I'm not going to be opening deliveries at my house. I'll go to the local park or to the library if it's raining, I guess, or just somewhere that is not my house, and I'll be opening and screening stuff there. And yeah, since I'll be out and about, that's another reason to go for a nice little trot over to the police station if someone is trying to stalk me in that kind of a way. I don't know who would, but, I have had some interesting interesting interactions with people online in the past. So, hey, being a small female as well, I think the only thing that makes me a little bit safer is that I live in Australia, because I think a lot of the shenanigans that go on are like in America, you know, bigger population, a lot of people around, you've got all your famous people over in LA, so I think more of that stuff goes on over there, but I'm not going to take the risk. I know also that people like Aussies and tend to treat us better when we go overseas, but yeah, I'm not gonna push my luck with the internet. You know, I've got too much respect for all the shenanigans, especially like, Internet Historian did one about them trying to capture a flag, and it was just like incredible what, was that 4chan or something managed to do, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with those people. Yeah, so basically the rules are be sensible and don't be a dick. There you go. So four basic rules. And so my PO box, with my PO box, so you can put my name, like my normal name, my real name, or you can put DestroyerMariko if you prefer to refer to me as that in writing. You can do that. I asked the post office, hey, I've got, you know, people online who might know me by my username rather than my real name. Is that going to be a problem for delivery? And they're like, no, as long as the address is fine. So it's a bit like putting a traditional place name in the address. We have that in Australia now. They kind of just ignore it. It's just a thing to make you feel good. I'm the only person who's opening my PO box, so whether you address it to my real name or my online name, it doesn't matter. So, PO Box 842, Spit Junction, New South Wales 2088, Australia. That is the formatting that you should use. It's all there. 2088 is the postcode or zip code if you're American. But if you just write it the way I've written it, it'll be fine. Now, I did write on Patreon a little bit of a nerd thing about 842 being my PO box number, because I did get a choice out of 15 different numbers, and so it was sort of like, what number is like, I guess mathematically appealing and symbolically appealing, and also is like, you know, in terms of the physical layout of where all the boxes are, is at a good height for me to be able to get to without having to, you know, bob down or whatever. Yeah, I put a little bit too much thought when it's just a PO box that I will rarely ever visit. Yeah, I can't help myself, can I? Anyway, so that's the rules and stuff, and I've got a PO box now, yay. I think I'm doing okay for energy in this video, but yeah, today is just really difficult. You know, like, I do have projects I could work on and just trying to motivate myself. I think I was pretty tired today. Like, my sleep still hasn't been great since I came off the mirtazapine, which I only took one dose of. But yeah, I think it sort of threw my sleep out again. Because I was just starting to get my sleep good, actually, before I took that, and then now, and my brain wants to sleep in the early morning when everyone's making noise, so like after 7, my brain was like, yay, now we will sleep, but then there's noise every hour or so, and I'm just like, brain, we've had hours to sleep, why can't you sleep when it's actual proper sleeping time? But no, it's done that kind of stuff, and I wonder a bit if my drop in mood today is partly because of more of that medication getting out of my system, because, you know, even though the brain fog lifted, I'm going to take these off, it's hurting my head, even though the brain fog did lift, you know, that's just a sign that whatever part that's causing the brain fog has moved on. It doesn't mean that all of it is out of my system yet. And yeah, it's possible that, I think this is one of the faster acting antidepressants, and so it's possible that, you know, had I not been so sleepy, it might have had like a small effect to start, you know, nudging me into a more positive kind of feeling, which I didn't get any benefit from, and so maybe that's wearing off and now I'm dropping back a bit, which kind of sucks, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the reason that I feel down. Maybe it's just because I'm tired. Maybe it's nothing to do with the drug, maybe it's just tiredness. Yeah, so just so hard to get moving, so hard to perk myself up. I did some singing practice and it just wasn't, my heart's not in it. And but I did start reading this book after much like wasting time going like, there's no meaning to life, I don't want to do anything, all these theories about socializing, fixing the childhood wounds I have, but not really wanting to do it, that's not going to work. And then, oh my god, other people who have schizoid are happy doing their hobbies, but I'm so bored of all my hobbies and I can't feel anything and everything's empty and blah blah blah. Once I'd gone through quite a number of hours of that, at least I didn't nap, but yeah, I went through quite a lot of that, and after a while I'm like, maybe I should just read a book. And then I couldn't find my I have a magnetic dinosaur bookmark, and I was looking for it, and I've got this pile of books next to my bed, which has been there for clearly quite a long time, and I was looking through that to try and find my bookmark, and then I ended up vacuuming a whole bunch of dust around there, and then I saw dust in the corners of the ceilings, and so I got the extension thing and was like, be gone dust, and got a bit carried away. And then I found the bookmark in a completely different spot over here back when I was looking at The Artist's Way or whatever, and it's a terrible self-help book. I do not recommend it to anyone. It's just full of garbage. Yeah, I got more than half of it through, and then just left my bookmark and forgot about it. And so that's how I found it. But then, yeah, I have now read the prologue and chapter 1, and so far I'm like, shit, hey, not much has happened, but I'm so, like, you know, it's so early. All that's happened is, like, a girl's gone missing, and we've been introduced to the main character, and it's set in America, but it's like one of those small towns, I think. And because I don't really know anything about small towns in America, like, I know what small towns in Australia are like, but I don't know about America. And I think it's cold, so I've kind of just assumed it's like the little town in Dexter New Blood, which I still happen to have on my desk because I'm so unmotivated that I can't even put it away. It's just hanging around. Yeah, I'm just sort of like imagining, okay, so it's in a sort of Dexter New Blood kind of town, and that's where I'm up to, and we'll see, like, you know, it's called The Possession, that's up my alley. God, if I'm not careful, people are just going to send me a bunch of books. I made the mistake of asking for book recommendations on Facebook once, and I was very specific. I said, I don't want anything relationshipy or sexual. And someone recommended Wicked to me, and, like, I'd seen that there were, you know, the stage performances and whatever, and kids were going to them, and so I thought it was okay. But no, it turns out the book is not like that, and this person recommended it despite me saying no relationships or sexual bullshit, and there you go, there it was. And I'm just like, I can't read this. Once I realized that was such a huge component of it, I'm just like, well, and this is a chick who kept inviting me to polyamory events even after I said, hey, I'm not into this, and I eventually had to unfriend this person because I was just like, if you don't respect my thing, like, you can do what you want to do, but don't push it on me, and don't keep ignoring things that I've said. So I was just like, well, kicking you off, bye-bye. I don't even remember where I met them, probably in the metal scene, you know, when I was gigging a lot. I just picked up contacts all over the place. So yeah. Is that enough of a tangent? Oh dear. Yeah, no, hopefully tomorrow will be a better day, because I have another filming window during the day tomorrow, if I wake up early enough. I don't really know what I'll talk about, but yeah, I think we're good. So, thank you to the Sect on Screen, Soul Scribe, Chronicler, also my Patreon cult, and I'm glad that messaging is working for one of my patrons who I sent a message in September, and yeah, finally got a reply. So I know sometimes the Patreon is a little bit weird in terms of navigation, like they changed things, and so now when I try and find a draft post, I have to go to the complete opposite side of the screen to find it, and I'm like, why do you do this? And I also don't like the way that they changed the Patreon lens thing, because while I'm sure it looks the same to anyone who's my patron and who's my cult member, like, I think it looks the same to you, but when I look at it, I used to be able to see everyone's comments like even after the post expired, but now it won't show me comments that people have left, so I have to make sure I get back on after 24, like before the 24 hours is up, and just check what comments are there, and so sometimes I miss them. So if any of my Patreon cult have tried to ask me stuff via the lens thing, it's like, Patreon's version of stories. If anyone's tried to ask me stuff through that and I haven't seen it, I'm really sorry. Yeah, and thanks also to my t-shirt cult, and yeah, today I'm tea-turtling with the blep, little cat ghost blep thing, and I got through the video, yay! It only took like a gazillion attempts at trying to film an intro and make it not completely suck, so yay me, and good night.